First, my thoughts at the end of day 43, America still in shutdown. Now, I actually think I could do 3 hours of TV tonight. This is when I really miss my radio show. And I still wouldn't get through all of the material I have to get through with you. We are asking questions. We're doing the digging that old-time real journalists used to do, you know, in the olden days before Obama worship and Trump demonization became their 24/7 focus. Well, most governors and mayors outside of the blue states have come to the realization that it's time to get on with it. It's time to move beyond a 24/7 focus on COVID-19. It's time to move into recovery and renewal. Not surprisingly, the red states are leading the way.
We had a tailored and measured approach that not only helped our numbers be way below what anyone predicted, but also did less damage to our state going forward. A lot of this is a confidence and building confidence with the public.
I believe we can re-engage our economy while still containing the coronavirus using these proven strategies.
Well, at some point, we have to stop feeding the media on this topic. Now, what I'm saying here is kind of a statement against interest, because after all, our ratings here at Fox and Primetime have just soared during this pandemic. You all want a different perspective, and you get it from us. But tonight, I'm speaking to you as a mom, as a friend, as an American, and I say it's time that we take back control over our own lives. We do it smartly, and we do it safely. The coronavirus is obviously a terrible tragedy. I don't need to say that. You all know that. It's also particularly terrible that China and the WHO did so many things to help this pandemic spread to our shores. And it's unfortunate that the FDA didn't get the testing working sooner. It's awful that Mayor de Blasio, Hannity was talking about that, took actions that helped the pandemic spread throughout New York City as it did. And how much COVID spreading was done in late February by the crowd that was gathering around San Fran Grand Nan in Chinatown.
You should come to Chinatown. Precautions have been taken by our city. We know that there's a concern about tourism traveling all throughout the world, but we think it's very safe to be in Chinatown and hope that others will come.
Well, they kept coming, Nancy. But at this point, beyond protecting the vulnerable, beyond funding the scientific work for therapies and medical treatments, there's really not all that much more that the government can do. Because you slap too many new COVID regulations on businesses, and that may end up driving them into insolvency. We need businesses, restaurants, all these small businesses to get back on their feet. I think now more than ever, we have to have faith in American innovation and entrepreneurship on everything we've worked for. Otherwise, all of these efforts of the past 7 weeks, all of our efforts of the past couple of centuries are going to end up being for naught. We've never allowed a foreign enemy to rob us of our freedom, and we can't let a deadly virus do it either. We didn't shut down America in 1968 during the Hong Kong flu. That was a global pandemic of the H3N2 virus. It killed 100,000 Americans, mostly those 65 and older. We fast forward to our horrific flu season this year, which we touched on briefly last night. Now, New York's current influenza season has been one of the worst on record. In the first week of January, 10,076 lab-confirmed cases. Now, for comparison, there were 3,736 such cases during the same time in the 2018-2019 season in New York. Now, fast forward to the week ending on March 14th. Look at that map. Well, if you see it there, it's dark blue. There you go. It's dark blue. That's the color coding for basically a flu out of control. And the week ending on March 28th, well, it's still bad, but getting better. There it is. But then in the week ending on April 4th, wow, the flu virus is basically gone. Is that because of a few weeks of social distancing? Now fast forward it. It's hard to believe that the drop-off would have been that significant, given the flu spread within families, especially in cramped New York metro area apartments where COVID also spread really fast. And then there was a really weird drop-off. We've been trying to figure this out. Maybe some of you can help us. Week 12, in the flu counting weeks. It's kind of weird. They start at the end of August and they go through the following August. But week 12, it's like about the end of March, there were 3,336 cases, all right, influenza cases in New York. But week 13, the number dropped to 764 cases. That's down more than 77%. Week 14 dropped to 193 cases. Week 15 dropped to 143 cases, the entire state of New York. Now, we reached out to New York State health officials to help us understand these radical drops in flu cases. Well, they tried to tell us that drops like this are normal, saying in 2018, weeks 8 to 10, we saw a drop in cases from 13,000 to 3,689. That's over 10,000 in 2 weeks. Typical to see significant increases or decreases from week to week. But that's not even close percentage-wise to the 2 consecutive weeks of over 70% decreases in flu cases this year. Now, one reason behind those huge drops could be that at the end of week 12 in late March, Governor Cuomo did put that state on lockdown. That may have convinced people to stay home, but we don't know that, and neither do state health officials. Obviously, people were still out at grocery stores, pharmacies, and we still had a lot of essential workers out there. Epidemiologists will probably be debating this for years. There's a natural lag in some data reporting, so we're going to check back in a few weeks. Now, we certainly do not wish to think that influenza deaths in this horrible flu season in New York are being logged incorrectly as COVID deaths. We don't want to think that. That would erode the public's trust in the experts. We can ask questions. We can say, are people dying at home with COVID, or are they dying at home with a regular flu, but they're fearful of going to a hospital? Are those cases being logged at all? We may never know. But remember, even when early on we were warned that this flu season was going to be particularly deadly, we didn't pull kids from schools. Remember, we played those clips for you last night. People were warning about this. This is going to be one of the worst on record. But still, we didn't require people to wear masks on planes or in grocery stores, and we didn't decide to ruin our economy. But then COVID hit, and it was like this flu season we were hearing about is going to be so horrific, never even happened at all. The media never talked about it, and even our infectious disease specialists didn't really address it as time went on. Why? I think we need answers so we can move forward with a full understanding of what actually happened here and how deadly COVID really was. Now, we'll face more viruses in the future. We know that. Of course we will. And we cannot allow them to bring us to a standstill like just happened. We can't do it again. Don't forget, we have influenza vaccines. A lot of you probably get them. And we still have a horrendous mortality number this year and in previous years. The flu vaccine is, by any estimate, from 45% to 55% effective in a year against all the various different types of the virus. Now, no one can say that any Democrat, and looking at everything we've talked about over the last several weeks, you cannot say honestly that any Democrat on the scene now would have handled this crisis markedly better. Look at what Cuomo is being accused of now with this stuff going on with the senior homes. The president solved the vents problem for the blue states like New York. Hospital ERs were not overwhelmed. That was the goal of flattening the curve. That was his mission accomplished, but in a real way. He really accomplished that mission. He and his team have devoted day and night to helping America through this terrible time. They deserve gratitude. Instead, they get endless grief. Meanwhile, House Democrats, we talked about it, announced today they're not even going to come back to town anytime soon. So they're protecting themselves and their own comfort as Americans continue to suffer. How can anyone take Congress seriously when they're not even here? The people are watching them, and I hope learning. Learning who's on their side, who's fighting for them, who wants them to get back to their pre-COVID lives as soon and as safely as possible. And those are my thoughts at the end of day 43, America in shutdown.